Hi class, I know we don't officially start till next week, but I wanted to go over the course expectations and the syllabus in order to save time, especially the first couple of days instead of going over the syllabus then, because we have 3 novels to discuss and test by Thursday of the first week. So the first form, and all of these forms are on Google Classroom, shared along on there, and I highly suggest that you save them to your own Google Drive, and I suggest that you start a folder for AP Literature, as there will be tons and tons and tons of documents. If you took the class last year, AP Language, you know how integral it is to save and be organized with this class. Okay, so the course expectations is basically a summary of the important information from the syllabus. This is the form that needs to be printed out and signed. Put your name at the top, read it with your parents, and then at the bottom sign it, both you and your parents. This is due on Monday, or the first day that you come to classes. Okay, this goes over the plagiarism, it goes over grading, it goes over attendance, it lists some of the potential novels that we'll cover this year, and it goes over the basic theories of the class, which is also mentioned all in the syllabus. It's just the summary. Okay, and it is a graded homework assignment, so please make sure you have it. Now the syllabus. Notice here that it looks very familiar to Ms. Kirkman's syllabus. Now it is different because it pertains now to AP Lit. You are seniors, so office hours are a little weird for you because you were done after 6th period first semester, and 2nd semester I think you're done after or done at lunch. Okay, so keeping that in mind, most of you don't want to stick around till 3:30 for office hours. So what I do for seniors is that by appointment, or if you see me sitting in my classroom and you have questions at recess and lunch, you can come by and ask questions. Okay, and you can just in class say, hey, Ms. Kirkman, are you going to be here at lunch? And I'll say yes or no, and we can set up a time where we can talk. You do not necessarily have to wait until 3:30. Okay, as usual, email is the preferred method of contact. I do not answer emails after 9 p.m. Okay, I do not respond to anything. My technology goes dark. It is my time to disconnect and have the rest of my evening to me. So I check my email for the last time at 9 p.m. If you email me after that, I will not answer it till the next morning, and more than likely in class. Okay, it does list the school phone number, but it is so much easier to get a hold of me via the email address. Okay, here is the required textbooks. The first 2 I went over in the introduction video when you were accepted into the class. Notice here it does say 10th edition. There was a correction on this. You can do 10th or 11th edition. They are both very similar. Some of the page numbers just might be a little different, and we can figure that out as we go along. Now, The Stranger and Never Let Me Go are the summer reading books. You are not required to bring them to class. You will not need them. And also, I forgot to actually list here how to read literature like a professor. But again, that one I want you to make sure you save throughout the year, because we're going to refer back to it throughout the entire year because it pertains to every single piece of literature that we will be covering. Textbooks need to be in class by Thursday because after the summer reading test we will start on them. Now the other ones listed here, Canterbury Tales, Metamorphosis, 1984, King Lear, A Raisin in the Sun, are all ones that we'll do throughout the year. You will notice here that the majority of them I have in PDF. As we get closer to the date that we will actually discuss them and begin reading them, I will share the PDF with you on Google Classroom. The Lorraine Hansberry one, A Raisin in the Sun, is one, if we actually get to it, that you will have to purchase. I haven't decided yet if we're reading it or not, but we are doing a field trip around this in March, so it just depends on how it lays. I might do other plays, but then we watch this one and do an assignment comparing and contrasting. Supplies do say that they are due on August 8th. Now, I know that lockers aren't going to be available till the 21st. So keeping that in mind, just be prepared on August 8th to start taking notes, to highlight things, to write things down, to be prepared in that aspect. Note cards will not start until the 2nd or 3rd week of classes, so you do not need to have them right away. And the additional 3-ring binder and dividers, The only one that's going to need that is Maudium. Everybody else already has their binders still left in class from last year. In fact, Maudium, don't worry about it. I have binders and dividers from the kids that aren't in the class this year, so no one needs to worry about the dividers and binders. We'll just salvage what we have from last year. Now, the introduction to the class. This class is a literature introductory college level class. If you took AP Language last year and you passed the test, you not only do not have to take your English placement exams for college, but you also, depending on your score, can get out of English 101, which is a writing class. Okay? Which is the getting out of that basic writing. English 101 is your introductory literature class. Okay, so language is the writing, literature is the introductory literature. If you pass both classes, you get credit for the introductory writing and you get elective units for English. But the biggest thing is if you passed last year, you do not have to take your English placement exams for college at the end of the year. Okay? And it also goes for if you got a high score on your SAT, you can get out of taking those as well. Now, the class is a literature class. It focuses on short stories, poetry, novellas, novels, and plays. And I will explain what each of those are, and we will cover at least one throughout the year. There are 3 different styles of essays. We have expository, analytical, and argumentative that we will be covering. You are required to take the AP Lit exam in May. Expectations for this class are high and huge, okay? Now, you'll have lots of reading, lots of writing that you will have to keep up on. You saw the list of literature, and this is on top of what's in the textbook. There are also 2 plays that are not listed here because they are in the textbook. So keeping that in mind, you have to keep up on the reading and the assignments. And it is college level, and it is a huge workload. And it does not pair nicely with a class like AP Language did last year with AP US History. So keeping that in mind, you're not going to be able to pair that background because there isn't a history class that helps with this. I will be helping you with all the historical background and contexts. Now, we do have several goals that we will be covering this year, and these are goals set up from the AP College Board. So these are basically our standards for the class. We will be reading and critically analyzing literature. And it says imaginative, and imaginative is because we're going to be reading some bizarre stuff that is outside the box, that is completely whacked and different, which is cool. We like to be different, and we like to analyze things that are different. And it provides some interesting conversations for us to talk about. We'll be looking at language, we'll be looking at meaning, and we'll be looking at the idea of how pleasure reading falls into analytical reading. We're going to look at the structure, the style, and the themes. We're also going to look at smaller scale elements, the idea of figurative language, imagery, and symbolism and tone. And you thought last year there were a lot of note cards? Just wait till we get to poetry. We're going to look at things from the 14th to the 20th century. So we are covering a nice 600 to 700 year span of literature. We're going to look at complexity, richness of meaning, and we're going to look at how that all is embodied in the overall literary form. We're going to look at social and historical values. We're going to learn how to write, and write some more. There are 3 essays on this AP test, so keeping that in mind. And one of them is free response, which means any novel or play that you have read in high school, you can actually write about them if they are of high academic quality on that exam. So we will be reviewing a lot of various novels there. And then we also have the idea of literary devices. Okay. Discussions and participation is a requirement of the class. Participation is not a separate grade. I do not grade participation. The idea is that you need to be an active participant in the class. This does not mean that you have to raise your hand every 5 seconds and ask or answer a question. It means that you need to take notes. It means that if you have a question, you ask it. If I call on you, you answer it. It means that you actively be a member of the class. Okay? You will have annotations, a lot of them this year, especially with poetry. We will have a lot of journal writing. We will have graphic organizers that we will go over and talk about with relation to the different styles of pieces of literature. Vocabulary will be just as important this year. You will actually have Friday quiz day again, but the quiz days are going to be different, as in one Friday is vocabulary, and during first semester, the second Friday is illusions. And I will explain more about what I mean with that as we get into the first week that we are doing illusions. Second semester, the first week is vocab, the second week is AP multiple choice style questions and preparation for the exam. We have formal and informal essays, again graded on a 1 through 9 scale. So you're used to that scale already. The scale changes a little bit differently in there, okay? But it still is that 1 through 9 scale. And you will be taking lots of quizzes and tests. Technology is obvious with this class. It is flipped. You will be watching videos at home. We will be using Edpuzzle. Obviously, you're on Edpuzzle right now. Plagiarism policy is the school policy, as in if you plagiarize, if you cheat, not only do you have to face the consequences of the Academic Integrity Committee, but you usually get dropped from the AP class as well. I don't want to see that happen to any of you. Don't do it. Don't fall into that bubble. Remember, I'm tech savvy and rather intelligent, and I will figure it out. So don't cheat. Grading scale. This grading scale may change before August 21st when classes actually start, and if it does, I will put out an amendment to the syllabus that you will have to sign so that you are prepared for it. 45% is going to be tests and formal essays, formal meaning as in typed and turned in usually through turnitin.com. Quizzes and informal assessments or timed in-class essays, some projects in there are going to be 35% of your grade, and then classwork and homework are each 10%. Noticing the project category is missing. Projects now fall into the category that the teacher assigns it to. So if I give you a 2-day project in class and it's something that we're working in class and only in class, it will go in the classwork grade. If I give you a project and say, hey, it's due tomorrow and it's your homework tonight, it will go in the homework category. If it's a bigger presentation project, it will go in one of the other 2 categories. Homework and makeups. Remembering, I am very strict about this policy. Late work is only accepted if there is an excused absence. If you are sick on Monday, you come back to school on Tuesday, you turn in a note on Tuesday to Mr. A, you have till Wednesday to make up the assignment. Remember, for every day you were absent, you have +1. Actually, let me rephrase that. If you were absent 1 day, you have 2 days to make it up. If you were absent 5 days, you have 6 days to make it up. So it's how many days you were absent +1. Okay, it's not 1 extra for each day. But if you're absent on Monday and you come to me on Friday, I'm not taking it. Okay, you have to follow this. The load that you have of work, the load that I have of work, the responsibility you have, the responsibility that I have. You need to follow this. All assignments have a deadline. Technology-wise, they're due by 8 a.m. If it's handwritten, it's due at the beginning of class. Next, you will notice the academic syllabus here. This is our roadmap through the year. You will notice that each unit, there is a number of weeks that it usually takes for that unit. I do breeze pretty quickly through the class, and if we stay in focus, then we should have plenty of time to prepare for the syllabus, or to prepare for the AP test. I start with we'll obviously start with the summer reading, then we go into short stories, and then we'll go into some classic British literature. We'll do a unit of poetry. We'll talk about some literature and translation. We'll have an independent reading project, just like AP Language does, but this one focuses on fiction instead. Midterm, when we come back from midterm, we will focus on plays. We will not cover all of these plays. We'll do our presentations, we'll do some more poetry, and then we will do 1984 as we're starting to prepare for the AP exam. Okay, make sure that you print out the expectations, the course expectations form, read through it, have you and your parents sign it. Remember, it's due the first day of classes for you. I say that because some people are absent or have camp or something like that, so it's due your first day, and remember, it is a graded assignment. Enjoy your last week before classes start, and I will see you on Monday.